Hi, Katrin. It's so nice to see you for our little chat on Fear to Fearless meets maths in the early years.
Yes, hello, Barbara. And I'm really excited to be here with you. And I'm looking forward to our little chat on what some people might think, what do these people actually have in common?
Yeah, well, the first thing that we have in common, we are both German. We both want to unburden people, and we both want to get obstacles out of the way. And we both met on a training to better get across and spread our mission, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you found out together. Katrin, just tell us about what is it about from Fear to Fearless?
Okay, thank you for that. Basically, my mission is to help people to reset their inner autopilot. That is my mission in my current work. And interesting enough, I live in New Zealand, and I bought a preschool there a few years ago and ran this preschool for quite some time. So that's already one thing we kind of have in common as well. And in that time, I did do a lot of personal trainings and learned a lot about how we learn and how the brain functions. And I found that really, really interesting, because not only does it work for children, but it works for us as adults too. So one of the main things I learned is when the oldest part of the brain is feeling threatened, then we, depending on what personality we are, we have three mechanisms how we respond. We either go into fight, flight, or freeze. And you might just say, well, what about in a kindergarten? What's there to be afraid of? But the triggers that cause a child to go into either of these states are very simple. So when we leave, for example, when we leave home and didn't have breakfast, but we really needed breakfast and we are hungry, or we don't have the appropriate clothing for the season, we are either too cold or we are too hot. That's another reason. Or maybe we had an argument with our mother or father, or anybody else in the family had an argument, and we left really upset. That's another thing that triggers the brain to go into one of these three states. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, a child, and an adult for that matter too, cannot learn. It doesn't matter what the teacher is trying to do or how amazing the topic can be. If a child is in that state, they cannot learn. I had no idea about this as a parent, I must say. And this is so basic and so simple. And one of my biggest wishes is that more educators would know about that. Can you relate?
Oh, I can absolutely relate. You know, having two children myself, and who are now adults, and I can absolutely relate to that. Also from my own situation, if I don't feel safe, like, you know, doing this, I'm absolutely I feel absolutely comfortable when I give teacher trainings on on this specific concept about maths for the early years. I feel absolutely comfortable about this. But when it comes to new situations, or like this recording situation, I feel like, ooh, will I do everything right? Will I get across everything? So there's also this kind of feeling stressed a little bit to perform well. And this also goes back to my education, you know, to meet expectations and all these things. So I really have to push this obstacle aside to feel free and just do it. And well, in my teacher trainings, you know, when I meet the teachers, there's also often this uncertainty or insecureness, firstly about maths, the topic itself. You know, how so many people say, oh, well, I wasn't really good at maths at school, I feel uncomfortable with math. And of course, this influences how they address the topic with their children. And then on the other side, the teachers always get they know how crucial maths is and how fundamental the early years are for the later maths career. So there's this pressure of really bringing the matter across, which puts additional stress and burden on the teachers. So it's really important to relax them and say, listen, the children have this inborn desire to actually learn this language of maths. And we're not talking analysis, algebra, statistics, or whatever. We're talking really basic language of maths, which is about numbers, amounts, and above, on top, beside, half, double, and what you name it. So it's really the basic we also need for the daily life. And the children all have it in there. They want to learn this language. And we only need to provide an appropriate environment where the good things can happen. Now, of course, also the children, as you said, they come into the kindergarten or nursery, and they bring all these things that you mentioned with them from home, and the teachers in the situation that they have this very diverse group of children, and they have to, well, open all of them up and kind of, unite them. So this is a really major task, and they need assistance for that.
I totally agree, and there are 2 points which bring me to another 2 important points. So one of them is the learning itself. Even when we have now, I call this the ideal learning state. So we know the child is not hungry, and we know they are feeling comfortable, and we know they are emotionally safe. That's called an ideal learning state, as in my work. And now they are, and as you say, that's so true, they are really ready to learn, they want to learn. And now it depends on the teacher to show them the new topic in a way that they can understand. And again, that has to do with the brain. The brain is looking for, when it learns something new, for something that already is familiar to that person. I remember I wasn't really good in math until I went to high school. And then finally I had a teacher who taught me in a way that I could relate to. So when a child, for example, hears for the first time the word a quarter, and it doesn't, a quarter, never heard a quarter before, so no idea what that is. But if the teacher comes and cuts an apple into halves first and then quarters, all of a sudden, and then they have something they can relate to, and all of a sudden the learning is easy. Another thing that I relate to very much, and that is what math, but also the learning and the patterns have in common. Numbers are a lot about patterns, and us humans are a lot about patterns and patterns of behavior. So when you were referring back to being, as an adult, still nervous, learning something new and approaching it with a little bit of, that has to do with how you learned as a child. So if the expectation was you have to be perfect, you have to spell the words correctly, or you just have to present yourself in a certain way, that's what still is part of your pattern. And if we are approaching now something new and we feel we can't provide that, then we get nervous and then we get stressed. And that's only like an easier pattern explained. But pattern is another big topic in my work, because we all have patterns of behavior, patterns of how we think, patterns of how we feel. And like you want to unburden the teachers of the stress of teaching by providing a fantastic tool, I want to unburden people of releasing limiting patterns that we picked up when we were little, and that were possibly not very helpful, maybe at the time, but not anymore. So I find it really fascinating when I met you, how many things we actually have in common.
Yeah.
And that math and my work is all about patterns.
Yes, yeah. I was also really excited when we talked about that. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, the first step I want to do on my trainings is to really relax the teachers and take away that insecureness or feeling uncomfortable about maths. Because there's this really ever so simple child relevant idea that Gerhard Friedrich actually designed to address early maths with children. It's this approach called Let's Visit Numberland, and it takes 100% the perspective of a child in terms of exactly what you said. What can they relate to? Because when we learn, we always build on what is already there. So, and we associate, we have inner pictures that determine how we feel about things and how we get on. And so what this approach does is we simply say, you know, just as you have a home, a house and a garden, also the numbers, the numbers, they are alive. They also have a home. They have a garden. They have a house. See some of them in the background, how this could look like. And then they have gardens, and we can decorate those gardens with matching items. And there's someone who ever and again messes things up, which is also something children love. This good versus bad fight. And so it's really very, very close to the world that the children live in at that age. And you know, but these gardens, they are packed with maths, and the children, they just play, which is the way they learn, and they are so eager to do it anyway, you know. And also what the good thing about it is that all the children really engage with this idea, because it's so natural and so lovely to them. And for the teachers, the good thing is that they can they can let the good things happen. They can play with the children, and we talk about things, you know, it's a co-adventure, it's not a strict program. So it evolves. And there's so much communication and things going on. When we talk about, oh, how could this little toy cow possibly go into number 4's garden? Well, it has 4 legs. Oh yeah, that's good. But hang on, it's only 1 cow, so it would also be allowed to number 1's garden. And there's all these details we detect and talk about. So this is really, really nice. And the teachers can bring in all their creativity, and they can relate to other topics that are important for the curriculum. You know, there's lots and lots you can do, and it's really child relevant. And also what you said about the patterns, children and we humans, we're all fascinated by patterns, aren't we? And the question is, why is that? It's because these patterns are predictable. Once you understood how the pattern is laid out, you know what's going to happen next and how it's structured, it's organized. And the numbers themselves as well, as you said, the order of the numbers is fixed. 4 is always 4, be it 4 apples or 4 elephants. 4 is 4. A rectangle always has 4 sides, no matter what. And this provides safety for children. We must not underestimate that, especially when children have not a good background or a turmoil at home, or we have lots of refugee children here in Germany, or these children find this sanctuary in maths. This is also what therapists tell me, that their children love to engage in maths because it's predictable and it's clear. So it is since it's also so important in the early years, this is really such a good topic to enjoy, and at the same time lay out in the pictures and also provide success for the children, and also, you know, to unburden teachers really. And it's not complicated at all.
No, I love, I think what the word you were looking for before was trust. They trust the numbers and they can trust in that process, and by that also learn to trust themselves. And this is one of the biggest problems I see in the majority of people who come for my work, that they don't trust themselves because they feel they are not good enough. If you were, I still remember when we were talking about school, math and art, where the topics were lots of people said, oh no, I suck at that, I'm not good at it. And it's not true. There is no child, and there's also in that matter, there is no person or no adult who can't learn math or who is not good in art. We can't always be, you know, Einstein, and not everybody can be Rembrandt. Yes, that's true. However, we all have potential. And for me, I would like to release these limiting patterns from our upbringing, when we have learned at school, for example, I can't do math. Or imagine a teacher ever told you, my son had a teacher who told him, you will never be a good father. And he was just 9 years old. And I thought, wow, if teachers would only understand, and parents at the same time, what impact that can have on a child. If they trust that belief and implement that pattern of belief, that can have a really detrimental effect on their lives. So my work really is about showing people that they all have the potential to do, to be, to learn anything they really want. And your work, or especially the number land, I had a look at your book and I love it. I wish I would have had it as a child. Really is giving children more than just learning numbers. It's giving them what you just said before, the success and the trust in themselves. And that's what, if everybody would have that, we would be living in a different world. And just would like to say towards the end here, I, as a parent, when I learned all this about the brain and the patterns and everything, my children were already born and they were already like 7, 8, and 9. And I was thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And I would like to, again, take the stress from everybody who's listening, because we always do the best we know at the time. Now we know better when we learn something about that. But until now, nobody told me about this, so to speak. Everybody did the best they could at the time. And we are, I wish you all the very best with your work, and would like to stay in touch and love the concept and love what you are doing.
Thank you so much, Katrin. I think it's really an important, and it's very supporting to know that at any time of your life you can change something for the better. And as you said, we all do the best we can, and there's no one best way. And if you ever missed a turn, then you will never make it back. That's just not true. I think I was lucky to come across this Let's Visit Numberland project when it was just hadn't evolved. It started as a research project, and my 2 children were just 3 and 5 years of age. Wow. So when I read about it, not only that children gained 1 entire year in terms of maths and language, regardless of their socioeconomic background, but also when I read about how lovely this was, you know, I could just see myself and the children do this. So, well, we did that at home in the living room, and we had such a good time. And when I saw what this, you know, sparks in children, then I thought, wow, now I want this to be my new task, really help spreading this this beautiful little concept to well, to boost the beginning of the early years of children, to, you know, to close education gaps and all this, and also to unburden teachers, really. I mean, they face such a magnitude of expectations, of tasks, you know, this, so, wow, they I have so much respect for them. And then it's really a pleasure to make a little contribution to to a positive beginning, you know. So there's many things you can do. Often it's really small things you can change or do, and then it has a massive impact. So I'm also really glad I found you, and I hope our audience also got something out of our little talk. And actually, we will be giving some free webinars shortly. And so if anyone would be interested in participating, we will share the links where you could sign up for the webinars.
Yes.
So we'll be talking about our mission in a little more detail. Yes. So thank you again, Catherine, very much for your time and for sharing your thoughts.
I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much too.
So I'd like to say bye-bye to everybody, and thank you very much for listening, and maybe get in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.